Hey scrapbookers, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap and welcome to the Regatta Page Kit Workshop. I have a lot of fun in store for us. Here I've got the kit ready, my guillotine trimmer by Fiskars that we carry that you can't live without, and then I also have my accordion pocket file. Now if you don't have your accordion pocket file kit yet, don't let that stop you from making these pages. Simply make 4 piles labeled 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and that will be where we place each piece needed for that particular double page spread. Okay, I also have my instructions printed here. So for now, I'm going to set aside the beautiful ribbon that came in this Regatta collection. We have these fun tags and some enamel stickers as well as some fun little buckles. So we'll just set all those aside, and now here we have our photo mats. So let's test our filing skills, and we're going to take these photo mats and place them in the appropriate pocket or pile, depending on what you've got going at home there. Okay, so let's begin by finding the red photo mats. We should find 3 of them. There's 3 of every color in our stack. So 3 red photo mats. Those will go in pocket labeled 1 and 2, otherwise in your pile labeled 1 and 2. Then we need 3 medium blues. So this is a good color primer here for the collection. This is the medium blue, and it's the brighter one of the 3 remaining blues. These will go in layout 3 and 4. Then let's find the 3 light blue. Well, that's easy to figure out. So 1, 2, 3. 3 of these go in pocket 5 and 6. And finally, we have this beautiful dark blue. You can see the ridges on this paper, maybe in the lighting. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can see it and feel it. It's gorgeous paper. This goes in layout 7 and 8. So we'll pocket that. And as is our custom, we will now sort the paper in order in the way that's going to be used. So we're going to begin with the medium blue color. Just take 1 sheet of that, followed by a red. So I'm pulling the red. You'll notice probably right away that the red has a texture on one side, it's smooth on the other. So I'm just going to place everything face down. Then one of the dark blues, that's with the ridges, and then a light blue paper here. So that's the palest color, closest to white. Then let's find the cut-aparts that we will be trimming. So the first one I want you to find has primarily stripes going on it, and then has 2 little squares and then a rectangle on the left edge. And then another cut-apart that has this big, bold title on it. And then there's also a sheet of die cuts I want you to find. I'm not sure where this is in your stack, but you can see these are pre-popped die cuts. They're in a circular shape. So let's put that next. And then I'm going to have you find one of the medium blue. So this is the same paper we started with, this pretty bright blue here. And then one of these beautiful light blue prints. So this has the border going across the top and bottom. I'm going to put that face down on my trimmer. Then find the other red and a dark blue print. Oh, I just love that print. I think it's my favorite. I just want to frame it. And then we're going to get the other light blue print. That's this one with the strips across the top and bottom. Then the light blue plain, another dark blue plain, and then the dark blue print is the very last one to go down. So I'm flipping that whole stack over so the medium blue is back on top. And we'll just dive right in and start trimming. Now, if you're new to this trimmer and you're new to this whole program, I encourage you to adjust the speed playback on your YouTube gear button to 0.75 or even 0.5 if you really want to slow me down. And then perhaps you'll be able to keep up just fine without having to press pause quite as often. So again, if you're new, just be patient with yourself, and in time you'll be able to keep up with me just fine. So go ahead and open your trimmer blade all the way up, and I want you to find 8 1/4. So I usually look for the whole number first, 8, and then I go to the left 1 column to find 1/4. So 8 1/4 is right here. Then double check to make sure your paper is flush at the top edge, and always stabilize by pushing down on the clear bar and slice that. This gigantic piece here goes in pocket 1 and 2, believe it or not. And then the other narrower piece goes in 7 and 8. Now, if this is just in the way, I'm just going to scoot this down to the bottom of my pile so it's not in my visual way. Next, I will take the red, and we're going to cut this super easy. This is first cut is at 8. and then 4. Now you have 3 strips that are the same size. I'm going to take 2 of these strips, place them, stack them together very neatly, and trim horizontally at 6. And we've just made 4 pieces that are the same size. Take just one of them and put that in pocket 5 and 6, and the other 3 will go in 7 and 8. Then you have this long strip. This is 4 by 12. That goes in pocket 5 and 6. All right, now we're moving on to the dark blue. I'll place this in the trimmer, and if you prefer to have the grain, those stripes going vertically or horizontally, it doesn't really matter. We're going to make some strips first, really narrow strips. Our first cut is at 11 3/4. So to review, 11, 11 1/4, 11 1/2, 11 3/4. 3 columns to the left. Check for stability and level, and push down on the clear bar. And then slide down to 11 1/2. So we're just making these tiny strips. Then 10 1/4. And 6 1/4. All right, now this piece will turn horizontally and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. And we just made 2 more photo mats, and both of these will be used in 7 and 8. Then you have a rectangular piece. Let's trim this horizontally at 6 and 3. Take the 2 rectangles you just made. They are the same size, and those go in pocket 1 and 2. And I regret to inform you that we do have a small scrap. Now the very next piece to the right of your trimmer blade is 4 by 12. Let's trim that horizontally at 6. Stack up the 2 pieces you just created, and those go in pocket 5 and 6. All that's left now are some narrow pieces. We've got this wider one and then the 2 really skinny guys, and all of these pieces are filed in pocket 3 and 4. Moving right along, this is the light blue. So let's go ahead and trim this at 11 1/4 to make a strip, and 10 1/2 to make another one, 7 1/4, 3 3/4. Now rotate this piece and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. So you made 2 pieces that are exactly the same. Those go in pocket 5 and 6. And then you have another smaller piece. This is 3 and 4. The strip to the right of the blade on the top of your stack goes in next. We'll trim this at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. You've made 3 pieces that are the same size, and all 3 of these go in pocket 3 and 4. And then there is a little narrow scrap. Add that to pocket 5 and 6. The final strip that needs to be trimmed, this is 3 1/4 by 12, and this one will be trimmed the same as we did just before. So 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. You made 3 pieces that are the same, plus there's this other little skinny guy that fell off the edge. All of that is used in layout 1 and 2. And then you have 2 narrow strips here. That goes in 1 and 2. That's the last piece of plain paper we have to trim. Now all that's left is cut aparts and die cuts. So let's take the first cut apart we talked about. And for my newbies, I'll remind you or point out to you that there is, I'm not sure if this is in focus or not, but there's this little crosshair at each of the 4 corners. And that's our first cut line. So I want to align the edge of this plus sign with the outside edge of my trimming blade to start this off as a perfect 12 by 12. So we need to remove about 1/8 of an inch from each side. So my first cut, sometimes I just cut like near the plus sign and then rotate. And now I'm going to line up that little hash mark with the edge of my blade. I can see it at the top and the bottom of my trimmer, just to give me a nice, accurate start. Then I'm going to rotate and repeat to remove the next little strip. And again, Now I can look over here and see at 12 inches is where my cut will be. And I'm just gonna take off that last little hair to make this a 12-inch piece. Find this just a hair. And then you can get rid of all those little scraps you just created, just these little thin strips. I'll return the piece so that it's basically right side up, and I want to have the skinnier strips on the right. My first cut will be at 10 3/4. And always just double check to make sure your blade's going to go between the artwork. Then 9 1/2. 9, 8 1/2, 7 3/4, 7, 5 3/4, and 3. That was a lot of slices. Now rotate and we'll cut at 6 3. Okay, let's do some filing. From this first section, we have a journaling prompt with a white background. That's pocket 1 and 2. Well, actually, all 3 of these pieces, that's easy. All 3 of these, pocket 1 and 2. Then you have the pretty large strip with the artwork on it. That goes in 7 and 8. And then I'll carefully just pick up all the remaining narrow strips, place them in the palm of my hand so I can deal them out easily. And we need to file the porthole and the next 2 quotes. Unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore, you can never cross the ocean. All of these go in pocket 5 and 6. Then the striped borders, those go in 1 and 2. And then these bright blue strips go in pocket 3 and 4. See, that wasn't so bad. By doing all that trimming ahead of time, we can really save a lot of time. Okay, we're going to repeat the same process now because we have another little hash mark in the corner. So I'm going to strip out all of the outer perimeter of this to create the perfect 12 by 12. Okay, once again, let's place this into the trimmer so it basically reads pretty right side up. I want to have this happiness comes in wave border on the far right. And we'll begin at 11, then 10, 8 3/4, 7, and 4. Now this piece will rotate and trim, so the skinny part would be on the right, and that's at 10 and 6. Now, this strip. So this first piece will go in pocket 5 and 6, the large rectangle. This one goes in 7 and 8, and then our journaling prompt 3 and 4. And then I'll pick up this next narrow strip, make sure and find my soul is on the right, and we'll cut at 10 and 8. Okay, this gigantic border strip, that's 3 and 4. And then these 2 pieces are together in pocket 5 and 6. The next strip, just cut any direction, it's the same either way, at 8 and 4. The tag, 5 and 6. And then this let's sail, 3 and 4. And then this guy, just with the graphic on it, is 7 and 8. Then we have some smaller pieces to create here. I'm going to put this in upside down so that where details reads upside down on the right, and that's probably at 10, and then 8, I'm thinking, and 6, and 4. Okay, so waves, this one goes in 7 and 8. Now we have all these little pieces. These actually are designed to fit on these tags. So maybe grab those tags. We can file them together. The sailboat with 1 tag goes in pocket 3 and 4. Something beautiful is on the horizon with the tag, goes in 1 and 2. Details with the tag, 3 and 4. And the other details, 7 and 8. Nice. Then we have We Cannot Control the Winds, that's 1 and 2, and then Happiness Comes in Waves, 3 and 4. The next item is the sheet of die cuts. So everything here has already been cut with the exception of just some little nibs that holds these pieces in place. Now you have two options. You can use just your hands and punch these all out. That's what I'm going to do with you now. What I did on my original version when I was making these layouts in the first place was I flipped the whole thing over and took the tip of a craft knife and just made a little cut on all those spots in the die that hold everything in place. So it's entirely up to you how you want to handle it. If you don't do that step, you will have like these little nubs, and that's okay. But if you don't want them there, you can solve that by using my craft knife tip. So just kind of separate these pieces. I have the first row done. So while I was talking, maybe we should file these pieces. I'm going to take this larger red piece that goes in 3 and 4. And then this one with the anchors crisscross, if there's no wind row, that's 5 and 6. The outer and inner of these two pieces, that goes in 1 and 2, both of them. And then I did have the next piece out of the next column up here. Now this one I ended up not using. I just had so many pieces to work with, so I did not use this one, but I used the inside also on layout 1 and 2. Then on the next piece with the crisscrossed anchors, this piece is going to go in 7 and 8. And then this just solid blue print with no text, which is kind of nice to have as well, 1 and 2. Life was meant for good friends and adventure. 1 and 2. I had a lot of circles in 1 and 2. Then, believe it or not, this is a nesting pair. So there's one circle and another one inside of it. So pop those out. All of these, 1 and 2. And then this last one, which reads, Let Your Dreams Set Sail, 7 and 8. And now that leaves us with this piece. And I have instructions for you to trim it. We're going to use a negative space on this as well. So follow along with me. I'm going to do my first cut at 11 3/4. So it's in right side up, basically with this rope on the left. You can see how the red halo is up here in the left corner. So again, that's 11 3/4. Then 9 3/4. I know it's going to cut right through the middle, and that's okay. Then 7 3/4. And 4 1/4, and that's going to take you right to the outside of the rope. Now I want you to flip this whole entire piece around 180 degrees and trim at 3 3/4. You just took the end off of that. Now this strip right here that has the red halo, it's lighter in color, that goes in 5 and 6. This next strip, this is out of the middle, that goes in 7 and 8. And then you have the two pieces that are partially cut in half. Both of them are used, believe it or not, in layout 1 and 2. There are still 2 strips remaining. If you want, you can put both of these in pocket 3 and 4. I just used this one, but I see they will nest, so let's just use them both in pocket 3 and 4. That's your video bonus, your video technique bonus. We make it up as we go around here. Actually, no, we don't. At this point, you are done with this trimmer finally, so let's set this aside and we'll start laying out our pages. Now I have this whole entire stack of paper that remains, and I do have that larger piece on the bottom of this pile, and that's totally fine. That's a great place for it to be. Take the entire stack and put it in front of you, and here's the center of your workspace. So take the whole stack, all of the remaining pieces, put it left of center, and then slide just the top sheet to the right, and that's going to give you the base for layouts 7 and 8. I know it's kind of weird. We're starting from the back, right? Starting from the end and working our way back to the beginning. So turn in page 4 of your instructions, layout 7 and 8 is pictured at the bottom, and you will see all the ingredients and the base papers, the bright blue and the print is exactly what's required to start 7 and 8. So I was very deliberate when we were sorting our paper. Now, if you have the accordion pocket file, you'll need to go to pocket 7 and 8 as well. Oftentimes, in the past, when I wasn't used to doing it this way, I'd grab pocket 1 and 2 contents and I would be very confused. Okay, so typically I like to distribute the larger pieces first, and I find it's very helpful to keep all the pieces in your left hand, not on your work surface, because it's just easier to pick them up and distribute them. So I'm going to take this wide strip of bright blue and place it pretty close. I know I'm covering up some of that print. I apologize. It's painful. It's just very painful. And this nests right on top of that, but it looks wonderful. Then I have a pair of dark blue photo mats that should fit just above the rope line at the bottom. Hope you can see that. And those are going to be side by side and nested with, look it, fits right in there. Isn't that nice? I'm going to distribute this larger border strip on the right side of layout 8. And then I've got 2 vertical blue mats I can place right next to each other here, tilted and vertical, and then a horizontal up here with a nesting red. Now, if you happen to have a corner rounder punch, I did round the outside corners of this, and that's going to go on the right here. Let's see, I've got just this graphic left side, and on top of it and kind of tucked in here, I'll put Let Your Dreams Set Sail, along with waves and waves of amazing memories over here on the left. And then on the right, I'm going to tuck in the double anchor, crisscrossed anchor piece, and above that, the journaling prompt on the tag with the banner. So yes, that is the base for 7 and 8. Wasn't that pretty quick and easy? Now, I'll just review with you a few of the embellishment tips so that you know what's going on there. This is not that. I gotta go to layout 8. Here we are. So if you're looking at this, you can see I just have a folded piece of ribbon tucked behind this with the rounded corners, and I added one of those enamel dots into each corner from this sheet, the small white one. And I used the tip of a craft knife blade to pick them up off the sheet and put them on here nice and accurately without getting stuck to my fingers and getting oils from my fingers on the adhesive, causing it to be less effective. Look along the edge here. So I added that tricolored twine. So the best way to do that is to add this, run your adhesive along the edge, like it'll hold the nozzle of your needle tip applicator as you run bookbinding glue along the edge. Then place this piece right on top of the glue and let it dry. And all I did was I literally cut with scissors right to the edge. I don't think you can see that, right to the edge of that. It's kind of focusing in the wrong place. But doesn't that look nice? It just adds so much here. Just threaded the ribbon through the top of the tag and taped the ends. And a little loop here with a deceptive dot on top. It looks like I secured it with a brad, but it's just an enamel sticker. Love the look of that. Okay, and then the other facing page, this is number 7. I repeated my twine trick, and we've got yards and yards of it in your kit, so you have plenty to run it across the top and bottom of this. And I did the same trick with the loop and enamel dot here. Easy peasy. And just, if you got things overlapping, just be aware. I left this area free of adhesive so I can stick my photo behind there without having to deal with this in the way. That is it for 7 and 8. So nice and easy. I'm going to take the base of this left page here and slide it over and place it on top of layout 8. So this was 7, now on 8. Now if I slide just the single top sheet over, ideally, that would give me what I need for pages 5 and 6. And look at that. Here's the base of 5 and 6, the blueprint and the red. It's all there. So let's take everything out of pocket 5 and 6 and see how we're going to distribute this. All right, so we have these printed border strip titles. We're going to start with those, and I'm going to run them across the bottom of the double page spread. So we have, you can never cross the ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. That's pretty close to the bottom. Just above that, I'm going to put the porthole border on the right side. What that does is carries that blue over from the left, doesn't it? Now, vertically on the left edge, I'm going to place this red. So with this carries the red over to the left, and I'm going to nest this die cut negative. Isn't that cool? Into that space. Okay, now let's see. Across the top here, we have a red, and then that circular die cut, if you have it handy, has the sentiment on it, but if I tuck it just underneath here, I can still read the sentiment just fine. You get essence of circular die cut, and then 2 light blue mats tilted. On the right, we're going to use all 3 of those light blue photo mats, 2 horizontal, 1 vertical. And you should have a blue to nest on top of the light blue. And then this beautiful piece will be added vertically. You have a horizontal tag and then 2 sentiments. This piece, just cut a little V into the end. I'll grab my scissors and show you how quick and easy that can be. Just cut at an angle toward the middle, and then you can tuck it behind here. Also, if you want to use a craft knife, you can, or I like to use a scissors with a longer blade where I can see the reveal matching all the way around before I snip in one fell swoop. Snip in one fell swoop. Say that 3 times fast. And then you can pop punch a hole into this and then add a ribbon. You can add the twine. Now, on this was the one where I used the buckles, and let me show you how I did that. So the first thing I did is just adhere the printed piece onto the mat. What that's going to do is give you a stronger surface in order for all this to work. Now I have the white ribbon here, the white satin, and I'm going to thread it through both of the D-rings. And I always like to make sure the grain direction of the ribbon is cooperating with the way I want it to wrap. So I'm just looping around both of these pieces, okay, both D-rings. Then I'll use my fabric scissors to snip off the ribbon. And at this point, I'm going to make sure the ends are uneven so that when I wrap this around the top edge of this little frame piece, you can use washi tape or you can use cellophane tape, whatever you feel comfortable with, to secure that at the back. Look at that. Fun, right? That's so fun. Okay, then I can take another portion of this lengthy ribbon and run it through both of the D-rings and then double back through one of them and pull. And I can decide, like I can trim my end in a swallow's tail just by folding it in half and cutting at an angle. And I will tighten this just a little bit to see how I want this to work. And I'll trim the end of the ribbon. Once again, this ribbon piece needs to go around to the back. And I can pull that kind of snug. And now I have this really cool looking embellishment. If you wanted to, you could put some glue in between these layers so that that doesn't move anywhere. And then you just simply add these pieces to your little collage you're building with some foam adhesive. And here's that finished page. You can see this whole built collage here, so nice. And then I added a small enamel dot in each outside corner of the frame, and then tied twine. Now all I did was ran twine around the hole, and you wouldn't even have to punch a hole. And then I just made a knot and I glued it to this spot here. I used ribbon and the paper to make that little double chevron here. Then placed an enamel dot in between each porthole. And I did have to use a small one here and a small one there. Then I had one more enamel dot here, and then it matches on the other side, which I'll show you now. Here is the finished touch. Be mindful that I kept this free of adhesive so I can slide my pictures behind there and then permanently glue that down. Here is another enamel dot that matches from the other side. And I have that tucked in, that circular die cut, just tucked right in behind the photo mat. It looks great. We'll repeat that whole process again. I'm going to slide this on over. And then one more piece in front of us. Now we are ready to create layouts 3 and 4 already. So go into the pocket and empty everything and put it in the palm of my hand. You'll also need to turn to page 3 of your instructions, looking at the bottom at page 3 and 4. And I'm going to start out by nesting these pieces. These were the end cuts from the die cut. So, why not just use them, right? Because I think it adds a little. And then on top of that, or next to it, I'm going to add the vertical strip that says, "Let the sea set you free." Love that. Now across, I'm going to take this strip that has the paddles on it and lay it kind of over the top. There's some strategy here. And above and below it then, I'm going to add the really narrow strips, and bookbinding glue works best for that. Now above and below that, I'm going to have a horizontal medium blue mat above and below, way below. And then in between, I took scissors and trimmed the angles and just my paper trimmer and trimmed the excess from this to isolate it, or you could leave it whole. It's totally up to you, but that's where that's going to be placed. Then vertically, the Let's Sail is going to go here. And then our tag with the sailboat goes vertically there. And we also have a journaling prompt that gets tucked behind here. So the way that's all built out on the finished page is pretty cool. I'll give you some tips in a minute. And then on the right, this is nice and easy. We have the horizontal tag up top with our journaling prompt, the chevron pointing to the right, and the ribbon's going to wrap around to the left. Then we have this long, narrow, dark blue strip. Let's put it that way for now. And that gets nested. So if there was any confusion about what's going on with the dark blue, hopefully that will alleviate that. Then a vertical medium blue here, and then a series of 4 smaller pieces that should be placed vertically in order for them to fit. They're not quite square, and a circle to finish things out at the end. I just love, you know, once you do all that prep work, this part is like smooth sailing, pun intended. So over here, lower right corner, this was attached with foam adhesive. And then I've got my cute little enamel dots. Those were really fun. I waited until all the pages were completely done. Everything was adhered, and I just took my craft knife and my dots and I just sprinkled them everywhere. And then here we have the tag also attached with foam adhesive. Run the ribbon through the tag, the hole at the top, and wrap secure at the back with some tape. And then page 3. You can see how this has been trimmed out. And I think doing that, removing the white border around it, just gives us a better spacing. And I thought it was fun to put the title in the middle of the page, because often it goes to the top or the bottom, but I thought this was cool. And then this is actually one really short piece of red ribbon taped to the back and another little short piece taped to the back with a loop through the hole. It's pretty cool. Here's that little extra strip. We've got this border above and below here. I mean, everything really came together nicely with this. And this is also of note, this is attached with foam adhesive circles too. Okay, so let's do our slide one last time. And then one more sheet over puts blue. Our blue here, page 2 is blue. And then we'll empty the contents of pocket 1 and 2. Now this is kind of fun. It's a lot of fun. I took one of these strips and I put it at the top of this page and the other strip at the bottom. Then we did set aside that really large bright blue piece, and I ended up realizing it fit into this open space perfectly. Okay, and then above near the top, light blue strip, top and bottom, and then a striped strip, top and bottom. Then we can add these vertical red mats, and they'll fit if everything's just aligned properly. Across the left side, we have a title here, and then along the bottom, you'll have a series of 3 light blue squares. So I'm going to stretch those across the bottom in horizontal fashion. They'll fit just fine. Then a horizontal here. These 2 blue mats fit into that spot, and then the Life Was Meant fits onto that one with a little bit of twine added. Let's see, we have several of these. Large sentiment here, kind of acting as a title. And then this ring tucked behind. And then on top of the ring, you can put the red smaller circle, and it can sit with foam adhesive on top of this sentiment, which is kind of cool. How about a tag, chevron tag, with Something Beautiful is on the Horizon here. Shaping up, isn't it? I mean, just distribute the pieces and you pretty much are done. On the right, I have the porthole and a journaling prompt. And oh, this, I cut a chevron into this light blue scrap and tucked it behind there. Draws the eye, adds some more light blue to the mix. Now, with all these circles that are left, one of those went behind the strip here, not completely in that porthole, and the other one went threaded through. So just take the top piece there and thread it. Nifty, right? This guy fits on top of the cut apart. Cool. And this one I just tucked right behind here. And you know, if you looked at this, maybe it was a little overwhelming with all the pieces that you had in your hand, but when you see how they all came together, isn't that neat? Now along the bottom here, I did the same exact trick with the buckle. I'll show you on the finished page. Here's my buckle. And again, I think I'm just going to put some adhesive in there to hold everything because the buckles are made to be unbuckled, right? So now if I permanently, I'll just put some bookbinding glue in there and hold it. You can see how everything was threaded through. This was attached with foam adhesive. I also use bookbinding glue just to kind of go along the edges of the die cut negative so it wouldn't be popping up anywhere. Look at all the enamel dots on the corners. They look like rivets. It just adds so much. And then on layout 1 here, we have the tricolored twine. So this was a rectangle and the circle is a circle, right? So I had this excess space and I thought, wow, I'm just going to wrap some ribbon around that, and it turned out pretty cool. Foam adhesive attached here where it's coming on top of this piece but not blocking any of the text. I clipped off the corners with scissors and then just added my rivets. Here you can see the chevron and the scrap getting rescued from the bin, right? And then thread my ribbon through again and tie at the back. I'm so into that right now. I used to always tie a knot, but the knots seem to add a little bit more bulk, whereas this loop and put on the back, it gives me more visual on the ribbon and it creates less bulk on the layout. Finished off with 2 little rivets on each side of that title and we called it done. So did you learn something new today? Maybe, maybe not. But either way, I hope you had fun. I hope you're proud of the layouts you're about to finish. One of the things that I often do is just stack everything back up again and slide it into the bag that the kit came in. And that way, when you want to put these pages together, everything you want is right there. All you have to do is just bring your adhesive, scissors, tape, and your pictures to the mix, and you're gonna finish 8 gorgeous layouts in no time. If you like this Regatta kit, please join me for the card kit workshop. We're gonna have so much fun over there. And if you like Clip Scrap, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up on it. I really appreciate even just that little feedback, just a little click on the thumbs up button lets me know you're watching and that you enjoyed it. Can't wait to see you again soon. Bye.